Buffalo Soldier, dreadlock Rasta. Buffalo Soldier, in the heart of America. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. A big win on the road in Buffalo against the Buffalo Bills, led by Josh Allen and James Cook. 13-12 ball game, really ugly, really bad weather, a lot of rain, right? And it came down to the very last second of the game, okay? It came down to a 2-point conversion. The Buffalo Bills had Khalil Shakir wide open. Josh Allen didn't have the best foot placement, missed the throw. It ended up costing them the game. And a lot of criticism for the Buffalo Bills for going for two there. I am not a guy who's going to necessarily kill the Buffalo Bills for going for two in that state. Listen, you're playing for your division at that point, okay? The Patriots just mollywopped the New York Jets. You want to try to go ahead and win that game and not go into overtime as best as you can. You're already a team that's not necessarily the best on defense. Like, do you really want to give a quarterback like Jalen Hurts a chance to go ahead and win the ball game in overtime? Again, now you can argue that, hey, both offenses were not performing well. And you know what? I'd live to play another quarter just to win the ball game. Fair enough. But you know what? You're at the 2-yard line. You have Josh Allen. The game is in your hands. Go ahead and win the game. That's what Sean McDermott was thinking. That's what Josh Allen was thinking. That's what the Buffalo Bills team were thinking. And quite frankly, I thought it was the right call to go ahead and go for two there. Okay? You're at the 2-yard line. If you can't get 2 yards, you don't deserve to win the game. They got 2 yards. They just missed the throw. End the ball game. That's it. And if you're the Philadelphia Eagles on the other side of it, you got to look at it and say, hey, you know what? Another grinded out win for the Philadelphia Eagles against a big playoff contender in the Buffalo Bills. After 2 weeks of playing the Raiders and the Commanders and getting your footing right in terms of your confidence, this is a win that, while it was ugly in inclement weather, is a win you can look at and say, hey, you know what? We went to Buffalo, a team that's been really good at home, and got a W when we needed it the most. And in that sense, you have to give credit to the Philadelphia Eagles, because that was a big game. Despite what many people will tell you, whether or not it was consequential to the season or not, it may not have changed the outcome in terms of, we're still the second or the third seed in the NFC. It's not like losing to the Buffalo Bills is going to change that fact that we're still one of the top teams in the NFC that you have to contend with. That was a big game, okay? It was a big game in a big spot, and the Philadelphia Eagles went out and got the win. Albeit ugly, you won the game. That's the most important thing, okay? We'll talk about how the offense looked. We'll certainly talk about how the defense looked in this game, because it's quite important. And we're getting into a little bit of the Nick Sirianni conversation and whether or not there may actually be a little bit of fatigue going on in terms of his locker room message to the football team. And there might be a small clip that I'll show you that kind of suggests that. But before we get into all of that, let me go ahead and introduce you to the show. This right here is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I am your host, Asif Badi, and like you, I am a Birds fan who talks about the birds, only the birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here, help us grow the channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribing to the channel. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it does not cost you a damn thing to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So we appreciate your support on the opposite side of the camera and on the opposite side of the airwaves. Now listen, in terms of what this team does on offense on a consistent basis, it's not good. I mean, it's really not a good offense in terms of consistency. Okay. And I think it's got the most talent in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. The offensive line has not been great, but it's still good. The running back, Saquon Barkley, albeit a down year, still 1,100 yards, 7-8 touchdowns. Like the guy's playing well. Jalen Hurts, I've been critical of him this year. I think he's really been spotty at times, but for the most part, I thought he's played okay this year. Okay. And then obviously A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, we know the deal with Dallas Goedert, a career year in that sense, right? So the offense has had moments where they looked good. And in this first half against the Buffalo Bills, I thought they came out aggressive and they attacked this Buffalo Bills defense, and it led to a 13-0 halftime lead. Okay. And while the points scored did not suggest that they were churning, I thought the offensive output was pretty good. I thought Jalen Hurts was playing really, really well in the first half. I thought they really just let him throw the ball down the field, let him attack the defense and be aggressive. The way I think this offense and the players on the offensive side of the ball, I think truly want to go after these guys. They want to attack, and attack some more. And I think the players on the team, that's what they want week to week, right? And then in the second half, when it was a 13-0 ball game, you look at the defense, and again, we're going to talk about the defense in just a moment. You're seeing the way that they're playing. The offense tends to say, you know what? Let's dial it back. Let's slow things down. Let's not be as aggressive. Protect the football. You do that, you win the ball game if you're Philadelphia. And quite frankly, their track record suggests that when you do protect the ball in Philadelphia, you're going to win the ball game. You win the turnover battle. What are they, like 40-something in 3 or 40-something in 2? Like, it's a ridiculous winning percentage that they have when they win the turnover battle. And in this ball game, the thing that led to our first touchdown was a Josh Allen fumble. Whether or not you think it's a fumble or not is neither here nor there. I personally thought it was a fumble. Tuck rule was a fumble. He fumbled the damn football. It wasn't a throw. If he were throwing it, he'd be throwing it to the freaking floor. He's not throwing the ball to the floor. He tried tucking it to save the pump fake, got out of his hands. Jahad Campbell recovered. Hell of a game by him, by the way. And it ended up leading to 7 points for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that was basically the only touchdown that we scored as a team. Okay? So that turnover was very, very consequential for how this game played out. And, you know, Jake Elliott played well. He kicked the ball through the uprights. He had 2 field goals, right? So he came back, had a bounce back game in inclement weather. Good Lord. Talk about Joseph? Yeah, not really. Anywho, I digress. Point being is, despite the fact that we got up to such a big lead in that weather, the offense just seemed to not be as aggressive in the second half, and they went back to their old shelled selves, running the ball on 3rd and 9 on an inside zone, back to those predictable concepts on offense where they just ran hitches all the time and really did not have a lot of creativity in terms of trying to put guys in space and get them open like they did in the first half. I thought they did a lot more movement in the first half, got a lot more crossers in. And in the second half, it was a lot more traditional flags and hitches and just, outs and a lot of outbreaking stuff that really the Buffalo Bills are like, and what other teams are really looking forward to with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're easy to telegraph. And Jalen Hurts went over 7 in the second half, okay? And this is like the 3rd or 4th time we've seen this offense, and Jalen Hurts in particular, just go 0-4 in a half. Again, we could blame the quarterback all we want, and I tend to be somebody who's critical of Jalen Hurts, at least this year. And this year in particular, I've been critical of him. It can't be him every single time. Like, it just can't be, okay? At some point, people who don't want to blame Patullo, who don't want to blame Sirianni, have to look in the mirror and say to themselves, why is it the same thing over and over again? Maybe you say because Jalen Hurts is incompetent and can't find an open man. I would ask you to go ahead and look at that film, watch that game in the second half, and tell me who was open. I didn't see many guys open in that second half, and when he did find somebody open, it was either a tough catch like Devontae Smith had on the sideline over there. Not a greatly thrown ball. It was up the seam. The safety was over the top, and the corner was draped all over Devontae Smith, where he had to slow down, turn around, and try to make a back shoulder catch. Excuse me. Wasn't necessarily the greatest throw, but it was a good enough throw for a guy like Devontae Smith, who we know can go up there and make spectacular catches. Outside of that, though, I really didn't see any open guys that Jalen Hurts could throw to, and I didn't really see a lot of stuff that we ran in the first half in the second half. You know, like those are the things that matter in terms of being able to run the offense efficiently and having sequencing. That's kind of the word that I've been using to describe this offense is lack of sequencing. It's an important trait for a play caller to have. One of the things that I look for in a play caller is his ability to be able to have the counter punch, to be able to have a sister concept, to be able to zig when a defense is forcing you to zag. It's why I'm critical of guys like a Kyle Shanahan, like a Matt LaFleur, like a Kevin O'Connell. Sometimes even Sean McVay to a degree, but those play callers, as great as they are, sometimes when you throw them off the rhythm a little bit, it completely throws a monkey wrench in their whole game plan, and then they scramble, right? With our offense and Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni, whomever is calling the plays here, and again, Jalen Hurts has to take some responsibility for this too. The sequencing of these plays and there's just no flow in the offense at all. In the first half, there was a flow, and you look at it and you say, wow, that was functional. That made sense. Things were leading to one another. You went and came out with a game plan and you attacked the defense. And then in the second half, it was a completely different outlook, a completely different philosophy, a completely different game plan. And to me, that's not the way that this football team wants to play. And it leads me now to the clip that I'm going to talk about here with Sirianni. You see it in the clip where they're going into the locker room after the win. Nick Sirianni is talking in the tunnel, yelling about all the noise you heard in Buffalo, and I don't hear much talking right now. So let me go ahead and play you this clip from Nick Sirianni because I think it's going to shed a little bit of light to what the next topic of the show is going to be here. Here, I'm going to replay that again because sometimes it's incoherent. I have subtitles here from this video. Okay, so I'll play it again and we'll talk about what he said.
Anymore. Love this shit.
I will admit that was a pretty funny line, but basically he was saying, not so much talking now in Buffalo anymore, is there? That's basically paraphrasing what he said. After the win in Buffalo, walking into the locker room, not much the Buffalo Bills fans can say. And the thing that I would highlight to you, and again, I'll pull up the video one more time. I won't put the volume up, and I kind of want you to look at this part of the clip where A.J. Brown and Nick Sirianni are walking next to each other. You see A.J. Brown's face. So for my radio audience, you're not going to see it. I will try my best to describe it, okay? Nick Sirianni's talking his smack, and let's pause it right here. Him, A.J. Brown, and Sirianni are eyeing each other. Nick Sirianni's being rambunctious and talking his smack. A.J. Brown does not look amused. He just looks like, we won the game. Let's go to the locker room. Not much else to say. And Nick Sirianni screaming, looks at him, kind of shakes his head, goes into the locker room. This brings me to the transition part of the show about Sirianni, the philosophy in this offense, and how it could potentially be affecting the team. Before I go into what this topic is, I want to say I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he frustrates me at times, and when he does, I want him gone, and that's just me being a fan, being very reactionary. So I'll be honest in that sense. I do think at times he is a dingus. That's the word that I've used to describe him. But overall, the results that he has had since coming to Philadelphia are significant. 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl title. As head coach with this roster, he's won like 65, 70% of his games. It's an unreal number. Okay. And quite frankly, they could potentially be on the verge of going on a playoff run once again. So, as critical as people can be of Sirianni, and I am one of those people, it's tough to deny the results that he's had, right? Now, on the other hand, that clip, and again, the radio audience wasn't able to see, I would encourage you on your time to look up the clip. I'll post it in the description below, but I would encourage you to look for that clip of Sirianni after the Bills game, walking in the hallway and looking at A.J. Brown's face and seeing how dejected he looks. And with A.J. Brown, I believe he has been a player that's been representative of the locker room all season long. And all season long, we have heard him be critical of this offense and saying, why are we not able to hold up our end of the bargain? We need to be able to do more to help this defense out. The defense can't be saving our ass every single week. They can't be the ones winning ball games for us every single week. If we were going to take his words, his frustrations, and use it as a representation for how the locker room feels, and use it against our quarterback, Jalen Hurts, I would say this, and we talked about it in previous episodes. Maybe it's not the quarterback that he's necessarily frustrated with, guys. Maybe it's the philosophy of the head coach and the offensive coaching staff that he's frustrated with. Maybe he's speaking on behalf of the other 10, 11 guys in the locker room, or skill guys rather, about their frustration of the offense. It is inexplicable to me how you go from the offense that you were in the first half against Buffalo to being so putrid in the second. That can't just be because, oh, you think the quarterback sucks. Because I'll tell you this, he doesn't suck. If you don't want to call him elite, that's one thing. But to say he stinks and that he can't do it, I think is a fallacy. Week after week, this offense just shows flashes of brilliance and moments of terrible inconsistency. Now, to me, I believe the NFL is a coaching league. It's a coach's league. Yes, you need the Jimmies and Joes to execute the X's and O's, but damn it, the X's and O's matter. Managing personalities matter. Managing all these things on a football team matter. And quite frankly, in Philadelphia, while you've had a head coach that had a high level of success, can you tell me that Philadelphia is not a representation of what the head coach is? If you had to describe Nick Sirianni, what would you describe him as? To me, he reminds me of a guy who's a front runner, highly emotional, and is great when things are rolling, but when adversity strikes, he bumbles, he stumbles, and he tumbles. Exactly like he did in his first press conference when he entered Philadelphia. Now, again, the front-running mentality and the rah-rah and the wide receiver coaching him, the highly emotional character, again, I think that's genuinely him. So I'm not going to be critical of him being braggadocious and rambunctious when last season against the Browns, when we went on that run, he was screaming in the stands. He stood on the bench. He started screaming at the fans. I'm cool with it because if that's who he is, be yourself, right? Be yourself, and that's who Sirianni is, okay? However, when adversity strikes, a lot of people look at the quarterback and say, hey, man, like, you're too cool for school. Like, why are you not able to right the ship? My counteract to that is, hey, you're the head coach of the fucking football team. How come you, sir, are not able to figure out what the problem is? How come you are not able to go ahead and fix that problem? And that seems to be what happens week to week. And what that relates to the offense is this. When you're up 13-0 and you're attacking this defense and you're playing a style that's giving you the lead, why are you deviating so much? Why do you go into your reserve shelf because you say to yourself, hey, we got enough of a lead. They're not going to be able to come back. Let me just play conservative and not attack this defense and win the game that way. Again, one thing to rely on your defense. Totally get it, and we're going to talk about them in just a second. I know I'm kind of going long-winded here, but when you have a team like Buffalo stumbling, when you're a fighter and you see somebody on the ropes, you don't fall back and let them recover. You go on the attack more. You stuff them out more. As Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWE superstar. Why did I say it like that? You get my point. Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWE wrestler, would say, stomp a mud hole in the turnbuckle. He would stomp the hell out of somebody when they're down. You got to be on the person's throat in the NFL when you have them down. You beat them into submission. That's what you do. You don't let the other team recover and come back. And that's frequently what we've done this year. We did it with the Broncos. We did it with the Cowboys. And we almost got paid. We almost let that happen again against the freaking Buffalo Bills. It almost happened against the Bucs earlier this season. You stomp on the team's throat when you have them on the ropes. Sirianni does not do that. Kevin Petula does not do that. And I think the players are starting to get tired of that mentality because, quite frankly, I think everybody on that team is a dog. And I think they want to go after people's throats. I think they want to go and show that they're killers. And the philosophy doesn't suggest that, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So that second half in Buffalo, I blame coaching, okay? Let's talk about the defense now because, quite frankly, the defense, I mean, they are just nothing short of sensational, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago. We said that this defense was elite. They do have problems against the run, although yesterday they played really, really well against the run, to their credit. But this defense with Vic Fangio and the rest of this coaching staff and the players that they have on every single level, my God, it's something special to watch. It really, really is. This is this stretch of football from last year to now in terms of defense. It might be one of the best. It's probably the best stretch of defensive football that I have seen in my lifetime, to my recollection as an Eagles fan. I know everybody saw the Jimmy Johnson days early on in his career, and they're going to point to that, and rightfully so. And again, I became a Philadelphia Eagle fan in 2007, so I only saw the latter half, or like the latter portion of Jimmy Johnson's career, the last few years, and transition into Sean McDermott, right? Now Buffalo Bills head coach. But this Vic Fangio scheme with the players that we had and the access to the players that Vic Fangio has that he probably hasn't had in other teams, it's a match made in heaven. Okay. And I was very, very skeptical of Vic Fangio when he first got hired. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. He is the thing. He is the bright spot outside of Howie. Who is more valuable right now to the Philadelphia Eagles than Vic Fangio? Outside of Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. I don't think you can argue anybody else other than Vic. I know people are going to say Nick, but again, I really don't think this team is where they are without Vic Fangio. He had this. I mean, do you realize since they acquired Jalen Phillips, they've given up 14.5 points on average per game on defense? That's absurd. 15 points a game is what you have to. You realize the Philadelphia Eagles just have to score 17 points to win the game? That's insane. In today's NFL, in today's offensive favored NFL, you average as a defense 14.5 points. That's spectacular. That's suffocating. That's special. That's elite. If you go on a playoff run with this football team, it's going to be because this defense was so brilliant game to game. You completely shut down and stifle the opposing offense. We thought last year's defense was special, and it was, because they got the job done. And it's the best defense I've ever seen. This defense is borderline almost at that same level. It is remarkable. The coaching job, it is remarkable how he's gotten these players to buy in. It is and mind you, this is in an offseason where you lost 5 key starters. You lost Josh Sweat. You lost Milton Williams. You lost Darius Slay, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Damn, who's the other starter? You lost Oren Burks. You lost Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, there's a lot of players you lost. And yet somehow he's gotten this defense to play so brilliant the second half of the year, where now I go into the playoffs. Again, the question on the thumbnail that we talked about, or the question that's on everybody's mind, are we Super Bowl bound? If this defense plays the way it does, which I have no reason to believe it won't, can you name me an offense that's going to be able to score and move the ball consistently on this defense? I mean, the Rams just took a hot L to the Falcons. You can look at the Niners. You can look at the Bears, maybe. Do you believe in Seattle? Not really. I don't believe in the Panthers. I certainly don't believe in the Packers. And again, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, what's the one defense that they don't like going up against? Vic Fangio. Straight out of the horse's mouth. They don't like going up against him. And are you going to tell me in a game like the playoffs, one game, you're not going to lean towards Philadelphia in a high leverage moment? I'm going to lean towards Philadelphia in a high leverage moment. I'm going to lean towards Vic Fangio and this defense and how brilliant they are. I'm going to lean towards, again, big game Jalen Hurts. I'm going to lean towards A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and Saquon. I'm going to lean on these guys. And hell, I'm going to lean towards Nick Sirianni. And while I do it reluctantly, I can't deny that he's shown up in big moments. He's gotten his team ready to play in these games. So are we Super Bowl bound? I'm not going to say yes, but I for damn sure not going to rule it out. Because quite frankly, in the NFC, who the hell are you going to sit there and suggest is better than the Philadelphia Eagles in a one-game situation? Are you really going to pick the field against Philadelphia? Or are you really going to pick in one game the Chicago Bears against Philadelphia with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams? I don't know. I think my money would be on Philadelphia, especially the way we lost to Chicago. In a big game situation, do you want to lean towards Sean McVay and Matt Stafford? You might say yes, but you know what? They're starting to look a little dinged up too. And they haven't played well against Philadelphia and Nick Sirianni in that era. Do you really lean towards Sam Darnold? I don't. The 49ers. You might give them a slight edge because the quarterback is experienced. Kyle Shanahan is there. But you know what? They're also hurt. That's a dinged up defense. And quite frankly, if you stop Christian McCaffrey, you could kind of stifle that offense a little bit, or at least enough to be able to move the ball and score enough points on them. And again, Carolina, as good as that defense is, and I think it's a good defense in Carolina, I don't trust their offense week to week. So, and then the Packers, I just totally dismissed because I think the Packers are just like pathetic. But that's neither here nor there. The point being is, who is head and shoulders above Philadelphia right now? In the NFC, nobody. And that's kind of the key takeaway from this Buffalo Bills game. In the biggest spot, in the biggest moment, no matter how it looks, the Philadelphia Eagles, by hook or by crook, win big games. And that's what we lean and tip our cap to. In big games, they show up. That's what we have to ride on. And you have this defense that's sensational right now. And against any offense in the NFC, I'll be damned if I'm going to pick an offense against Vic Fangio to score more than 21 points. I'm sorry. That's just where my head's at. I don't know what everyone else thinks about this. I'm sure you probably think the same way, that we can go on a special run. But again, key takeaway from this, the offense, while inconsistent, I think it's more so about the philosophy than it is even the play calling or even the concepts or the quarterback. I think the philosophy has to change slightly in order to, kind of attack these defenses more. And I think the players are getting tired of it. But the defense, that's what's carrying. That's the star. And if the defense continues to play like this, sky's the limit. Genuinely, sky's the limit. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's going to be all for today's episode. A little bit long-winded, but I appreciate your support. I appreciate you listening. Again, hit the like and subscribe button below. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. And we will see you back here next time for the next episode of the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. Hey, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast.